Welcome to the Class of the Little Sass podcast. I'm your host, Carrie Millspaw, best-selling author and award-winning motivational speaker with over 20 years in the personal development industry. I believe that the more you know, the more you grow. With each podcast episode, I will educate and empower you, girlfriend to girlfriend style, on how to create a happy life, from motherhood guidance, career and business advice, to feeling confident in your relationships and everything in between. This is Real Talk Radio. Let's jump right into today's episode. Hi, my friends. I am so grateful you're here today. I am swimming in emotions today as I record this podcast, and I was one of those days where I was like, what do I want to talk about this week? Should I jump right back into business again? Should I get more content out there around personal brands and side hustles, which is what we've been talking about quite a bit in this past few episodes? But I'm feeling led to talk about something else, about second chances and how it's never too late for a do-over. That's the term I'm going to use because that's kind of the feeling that comes through when I'm thinking of where I'm at in my life and where so many people can self-sabotage that second chance, third chance, fourth chance, whatever that looks like. And I want to remind you that God is a God of second chances and thirds and fourths and fifths, and it goes on and on and on. He's given me lots and lots of chances. And right out of the gate, I want to just remind you of his own beautiful, unconditional love for us. In fact, Acts 2:38 says, everyone who comes to him can receive another chance at a better eternal life by believing in his son, Jesus Christ, and washing away their sins through repentance and baptism in his name. And yes, he is a God of many chances. Thank goodness, because I have tried to run away and I circle back, and I'll run away and circle back. And my walk with the Lord kind of looks like, it kind of reminds us of that little poem that we see about footprints of where, the walking with Jesus looks like, and the times he carried us and the times he drug us and all the silliness that goes with the different versions of that particular poem. And it's exactly like that. It's also how our relationship with ourself looks like. If I'm being really transparent, we will beat ourselves up for something, and then when something good comes along, we'll push it away because we don't feel deserving, or that the chance we had, we screwed it up. So I'm just going to push this one away because I'll probably just screw it up again, or I'm not worthy. All those things come up in our emotions, our thoughts, our overthinking mind when a great opportunity shows up. So what's that look like? Back in on episode 39, I talked a little bit about the desires of your heart. And I can't remember the title off the top of my head. I think it's Divine Conversations or something like that, when we're learning to step out in faith. God knows the desires of our hearts. Sometimes we don't even put them in our wish list. A lot of us have done, anyone that's doing personal development, and you're here for that reason. You're a personal development junkie like me, or you wouldn't be tuning into this type of podcast. But you have done vision boards and journaling and all the little tools and resources that we teach over time on how to manifest the life you've always wanted, and how to, attract the law of attraction, or the attractor factor, which is a book that's kind of fun to read and go through, on how to pull in those things that we want through life. And a lot of the times we'll place a wish out there, or a thought or a feeling, but we didn't capture it in a vision board, or we didn't capture it in a journal. But God did. He caught it. He put it on a list you probably don't even know is in existence. But he's keeping score. Don't worry. He knows there's this little imprint in your heart somewhere that maybe you have regret over because you never got to experience it. Or, man, I really wish I would have gotten married and had kids. If you're a single person later in life, what's stopping you from still doing that? You could marry a woman or a man that's got 4 kids, an instant family overnight. We have these stupid thoughts that we push down, that we don't get to have what we want, or it's too late for me, or I screwed up. I missed that window of opportunity. That opportunity may come back in a different way. It may look different than what you imagine, doesn't mean it's not a similar opportunity. It may smell different, look different, talk different, walk different, come from a different color, and all the things. Might not be that little finite picture you had in a box. But one thing I've learned, my dear friends, is you don't put God in a box. You can place that order, and you just got to be really flexible with the process on how to get the outcome. When people say, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey, it's kind of the opposite mindset. Know the destination in your heart, but be really flexible with the journey and how to get there. You might have some detours, like my life has had many detours. In fact, when I left Michigan back in 2008, during my divorce, going to Vegas, even though I don't regret that because it taught me so much. I grew like a weed. It was just amazing. The experiences I had, the mind blowing, opening up outside of your comfort zone, growing experiences through a lot of pain. And diamonds aren't perfected without some serious pressure and polishing. And that's what it feels like when you're going through that process. But in some ways, I can relate to Jonah from the Bible. I feel like I ran away to Nineveh. I'm sorry, I ran away from Nineveh. That's where he was supposed to go. I didn't get eaten by a whale or a great fish, is which the Bible describes it as, but some days it probably felt that way. I feel like I've kind of come home. I feel like the prodigal daughter, like the reference to the Bible of the prodigal son, coming back full circle to where I was born. And I don't know what the Lord had in mind, and I still don't, of that full circle of events so far. Again, 34 years has passed since I've lived in my hometown. A lot of learning, a lot of growing, a lot of expanding, a lot of life experiences, things I get to bring back. And I don't even know what his plan is yet, but I'm all in, Jesus. I'm all in, head first. It's kind of fun to not know what's up ahead because then you are getting surprised every day. Every day is like Christmas. Woo, okay, Lord, let's go. What's next? What is next? What does he have in mind? And as I'm stopping and reflecting, it's not even been 2 months since we've moved home. A lot has happened. A lot of overwhelm emotions, a lot of taking time to myself and getting some quiet time when it's available to really reflect and see what the Lord has planned for my life. What's that next chapter look like? I've got a big birthday coming up next year, and what does Jesus have in store for me? I'm excited to know. And there's a lot of little signals and signs that he's giving me my version of a do-over. And I'm kind of going to be very vulnerable and share some really interesting things that are coming to the surface for me, emotion-wise. And I want you to relate to your life. Where are you doing this too? You could be just starting off in life, young teenager, 20s. You could be, my daughter's age. She's going to be 20 next year. Just starting to see what's possible for your life. Or you could be like me, where you've had a failed marriage, you've had a child or 2 or 5. You've been through relationships that have worked or not worked. You've had lots of career options and paths. You have family, you have things that have worked really successfully in your life, and you've had a lot of failures. So you kind of have a playbook in your life with many ups, downs, places you've kept score, whether it's visibly in front of you, like a journal, or it's in the back of your mind. And unfortunately, those little folders where we store our memories and our experiences can help us or hinder us at times as we take score and inventory of our life and where we're going. So what does it look like when something shows up as a second chance, or again, a third or fourth or fifth? Because God likes to give you many. He loves us so much That unconditional love is without conditions. To be loved, no matter how dumb we are sometimes, we just screw up over and over again, but he's right there, still loving us in the moment. Very few humans can relate to this because we don't get that from other humans. It's a spiritual, supernatural thing. I like to say I love my daughter unconditionally, but some days she drives me crazy. I might love her unconditionally, but I might not like her so much the next day or that afternoon or in the morning when she's grumpy or whatever that looks like. Jesus loves us anyway, grumpy or not, whether way before you've had your morning coffee, he still loves you. So just remember life's beautiful and don't forget to invite your creator into it often. Okay. In fact, I encourage you to let him do the leading. He's way better at it than we are. So, you know, um, I have decided to follow Jesus song kind of comes to mind. That's what we should do. Uh, so what does a do-over look like? Okay. It kind of looks like you got laid off from that job and you worked there for 10 years. You really liked it. You thought that's where you were going to retire. You thought you were going to go all in. You thought you were going to get that promotion. Then you get laid off. What does that look like now? And then you start looking around at other opportunities or a connection places something in front of you. You're like, oh, yeah, I've always wanted to learn to do that. That's a different industry than what I've even been working in. But there's a part of me, even in high school, that was always interested in this type of industry of work. And then comes the insecure, but I don't really have any experience in it though. Or they're probably not going to hire me because my resume says I've been working 10 years in this other vertical of life and business, and I'm probably not a good match. Why do we do that? Why do we self reject and shut down the energy of the Lord giving us a second chance? We do it. It's a little self sabotage. It's insecurity, 100%. Any shame from your past that's bubbling up to the surface of not feeling worthy. I want you to go deep when that happens and be aware of it so you can go, okay, I'm not going to shut this down, especially if the Lord has placed it in front of you and opened that door. I want to remind you, and I like to remind you often in this podcast, when God opens a door, nobody but God can shut it. It's for you. It's your door. When things aren't working and not flowing and not going in the right direction, it feels like you're trying to do life by pushing a boulder up a mountain. That's because you're trying to lead, not letting the Lord lead. That's not how God does things. He doesn't say, "Oh, I want you to be in pain every day and struggle and have the worst life ever where you're just constantly in turmoil." No, he wants you to go where you're going to have the best life. You're going to be the healthiest. You're going to feel the best mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally. That's his outcome and wish for you. And of course, he wants to have a relationship with you in the process. Again, don't forget to invite your creator into the process. Let him lead. Invite Jesus into any journey you're going through. It could be looking for a new job. It could be doing what I just did, looking for a new place to live, which is so daunting and scary. It could be relationships. It could be, should I start a family? It could be my kids are going to college and it's that empty nest time, or they're changing schools. Lord, I don't know if this is the right decision. Invite him in. He can see what you cannot. So more second chance talk. Yesterday, I'm recording this on a Sunday, which is kind of my favorite day to do this because I just feel like I'm a little more grounded and a little more closer to the Lord on Sundays. There's not a million things coming at me. I don't feel like I have a lot of analytical stuff, work stuff in my brain, and I can just be grounded and let Jesus use my voice and speak through me. But yesterday, I got to go and attend my niece's powerlifting meet. Okay. So first time for everything. Never been to one. It was at a gym just 6 minutes from my house, which all by itself is fun because Miss Carrie in her entire adult life has never had the opportunity, privilege, joy, all the things that show up to just jump in my car and go see my family whenever I wish, not in a 6-minute time frame. Like I lived near family when I lived in Michigan prior, but it was a good 2.5 to 3 hours before I even saw my mom. She was the closest relative at the time. Another 4 hours to see my sisters, another 12 hours plus to see my other sister, and then a plane ride to see my brother. You see where I'm going. The privilege to jump in my car, go hang out with the fam in the morning is wonderful. To meet with a sister and go to church and do breakfast or brunch after is phenomenal. Like my mind is blown. And it's the little things that so many of us take for granted, but I never had it. I didn't get that yumminess. So I am 100% appreciative, and I am definitely taking note of this gratitude that I'm feeling. And to me, it feels like a do-over. I feel like God is giving me a do-over. Carrie, you didn't get this because there wasn't a window of opportunity. I had 10 acres of land here, purchased in 2003. Miss Shyla Kay, I had just found out I was pregnant with her. It was the summer of 2003. I believe we closed on it that August. I found out I was pregnant with her like the month before. I remember walking that 10 acres of property, feeling that, the beginning stages of pregnancy, not feeling so great. So I had that opportunity. I was drawing up house plans to build on that property. Wasn't meant to be. At the end of the day, and this isn't not to sound negative, I knew I would live where I wanted to live, but I didn't want to live with the person I was married to. Like I wanted to move back home to Traverse City. I wanted to live closer to my sisters. I wanted to live closer to family, but I didn't want to share my life anymore with the person I was married to. So you make hard choices in that moment. And, as you can see, life has a lot of twists and turns after those decisions are made. So here I am full circle back, just minutes from that property too. And I don't wish for it and I don't want it. I never really wanted 10 acres of land, to be honest. It was my ex-husband's wish. And here we are. I got a do-over, guys. It's 20 years later, but I got a do-over. My sister wanted to raise our kids together. And her baby girl is 14, the one we saw yesterday at this powerlifting meet. My daughter's now 19. Her younger son is 11. Guess what? They might be older now. They're not babies, but we still got to raise them together. My daughter was here every summer, even though I wasn't joining her most of the time. I would come for a week or so when I could break away from work. But she partially raised Shyla, my daughter. So having her off and on, and our daughters got to be together. Our kids got to experience summers together and still have that bonding time. We're very close, my sister and I. We were the tail end 2 daughters at the end of a 5-child family. And we have the most memories probably together growing up. And of course, you want your kids to grow up. You want your kids to be friends too, It's just a part of the process. So I feel like in a way when I got to go to my niece's power meet yesterday that I got a do-over. It was the first time I had, gotten to jump in a car since we've moved anyway and go to some family, I haven't been to any of their school stuff yet, but that's coming. And, my nephew's in sports and my niece is in track, and she's done things and she's just continuing exploring what she wants to do and experience. And it's just fun for me. It's fun for me. I'm going to have more and more fun doing that. I didn't even get to graduate from the school they're going to. So part of me is kind of looking forward to those football games and sport events of the things I didn't get to experience because my parents had moved me away in the 10th grade. So again, a do-over. It looks different. The children are older. I'm not the high school girl anymore that left her hometown, but I come back as the aunt or the mother to my daughter, and a different version of Carrie gets to attend those games, but I'm still getting the experiences. The Lord did not forget. Even though I went on with life, shoved some of that down, He didn't forget. It goes back again. The Lord is keeping track of the desires of your heart. even when we think we've moved on and like, well, that's never going to happen for me. I've just got to learn to live with it. He remembers. He has stayed on to that to-do list, that little wish list you've had in your heart this whole time. So yesterday, back to this power meet with my dear niece, and she's only 14 and she's like the youngest one there. There's mostly men. Her dad does this just to give some background and context. Her father's into doing these crazy deadlifts and, breaking records, all the fun stuff. And I didn't know what to expect. I really didn't. I just knew I needed to be there around 9 and I didn't know how long it was going to be. And it's super hyped up. They've got their, the rock music playing and you're just in it. You're just in it cheering for everybody to do these deadlifts and these bench presses and the squats, these three main things. And you're just impressed with the whole gym community. And I'm in love with the Traverse City community anyway. These are my people. And I was just intrigued, but for some reason, and I don't know if this was from lack of sleep or what, because I didn't sleep very well the night before. But I'm recording her. My daughter and I get there, and we're sitting. My sister saved us some seeds. We're sitting there. It's my niece's turn to jump up and do her squat, and I start recording because I'm an aunt. That's what I do, and all of you know I love to share my social media posts of family memories and events and what's happening in our life. Love to share that. Most of it's for me so I can look back and go, oh yeah, a memory, like just to reminisce. But I like to share. I'm a vulnerable girl. I like to put myself out there, be transparent. I like to inspire you through things just by being an example. I feel like that's true leadership. So I'm recording video and I just start crying and I'm like, what the heck's wrong with me? I'm like embarrassed. And I'm like, is it because I'm tired and not get enough coffee yet? What is going on with me? Why am I crying? And I'm taking video and my daughter's all go, go, cheering her on. And I'm like, I look over at my sister and my daughter and I'm like, what the heck's wrong with me? I just got so emotional. And my sister's laughing with me, like, well, girl, like we got lots of sporting events. So if you're gonna cry at all of them, what's up with you? And I am labeled as the crybaby in the family. I am the empath. I am the sensitive one. I always have been. No shame. That's just who I am. That's how God made me. I feel deeply. And it is just, it is what it is. But I was like, oh, like we've got this hyped up gym crowd. This isn't a place to cry. Even my niece was like, why, KK? Like, why, Aunt KK? Why are you, what's up with that? That's weird. Why are you feeling that way? I don't understand. I was just, doing some powerlifting over here. So it's not like I was in a sad play or singing some beautiful song, that would strike up that kind of emotion. So I did some inventory, like, okay, what's showing up for me? What's up, Carrie Lynn? What's going on? Why are you crying? Did some, Saturday was a busy day and I spent a lot of it with people I really care about. And I might have been a little bit on emotional overload. I don't know, but I was just so happy. It was just tears of emotion, of happiness, pure happiness of it's not too late. It's that feeling of, oh, it's not too late. I get to still have this. I get to still have these experiences. It's not too late. That was the message that came through really clear. The Lord took inventory of my heart a long time ago, and He's doing the same for you. You get to still have what you want. Again, be flexible with what it looks like and how it shows up and when it shows up. But when it does, give Him the glory. Give Him that check mark next to the list. The Lord made that happen. Check. And what was even more fun was when we showed up, my brother-in-law's brother was there and he's kind of coaching my niece. And then my nephew and his wife showed up and he did some coaching with my niece. And my brother-in-law is doing the judging. I was like, look at all this family just floating in and out. This is so good. So good. I asked for this. My family means everything to me. I feel whole and complete again when we're together. It's where I belong. My soul feels complete. And just knowing that they can pop in and out and life is good. And then we can go to lunch afterwards and then part ways for the day just fills my soul so much. So much. Because before it was all or nothing, all or nothing. I'd go months without seeing them. And then I would see them for 2 weeks. Like, my emotional overload of trying to cram everything in. And then you leave again. I hate that start-stop energy. It's like too much all at once and then too little all at once, then too much, too little. I like a good ebb and flow of balance of getting that connection time together. So Miss Carrie's so happy. I cannot tell you enough as you listen to this podcast of how much joy I have in my heart. The only thing that's pulling at me still is getting my daughter to that space. Her boyfriend has not moved here yet. He will in a few weeks. Cannot wait because I know she will be in a much happier, grounded space with her little soulmate by her side once again. They've been together 4 years. They are best friends. You cannot separate that. It's just what makes her feel good. I get it. I get it. I've been searching for that person too. 100% get it. Once you find them, you just feel like, okay, this is my person. I get it. So I don't want her to be separated from him much longer. It's been a long, almost 2 months now for her. She doesn't do long distance well, other than, we would travel here and there, come home for a couple weeks to Michigan in the summer is the only time they've really been separated, to be honest. So what else shows up? There's certain things in my life as well that are coming forward that look like a do-over. Some of them are relationships, friendships that I've had when I was really little and never really got to blossom that because we moved away, that I've picked up right where they were left off. I have a good friend that I grew up next door to. And she, of course, has a daughter now, and she's a little closer. She's a little older than Shyla, but we're trying to get them to kind of connect. Because again, selfishly, when you have a good friend, you want your daughters to also be friends because you think that's just so cool. It's just next generation to carry that on. We grew up next to each other with the best childhood of forts and snowball fights and snow forts and track and field days and riding on quads and making cakes on Valentine's Day shaped like hearts. And did I mention the forts? Because those were the best. There were so many versions of that. And dressing up her cats in doll clothes, pushing them around in little baby carriages and playing Barbies, going camping. I mean, bike riding. The list goes on. So I have this beautiful foundation of my childhood is attached to this person in some way because we share it. And it's so cool that I'm back home and we've kind of made this repeated reoccurrence or cadence of a Thursday night girls' night. She's introduced me to another friend of hers who also has a daughter around the same age as our daughters. We've brought in the daughters, so there's like 6 of us now, and it's become this cadence of trying to meet up, at least twice a month if possible, maybe more, give or take. That I feel like, again, I'm getting another do-over. Like, I see you, Jesus. I see what you're doing. This is a nice do-over. We didn't get to raise our kids together. We didn't even get to finish high school together. I didn't get to go to her wedding. I didn't get to watch her babies when they were small. But we're pulling it back. I'm getting the second chance and I'm not pushing it away. That's the key. You're going to get a lot of do-overs. And some of them are like, it could look like, oh, here's the second, third, fourth, fifth chance with a relationship that's toxic. I suggest you flush that one, that some second chances aren't worth it. It's a repeated mistake. It's going nowhere. It was a dead end. It's going to be a dead end every time, especially if you've gotten on that merry-go-round in the past. I did that as well for 4 years with the same toxic person, thinking every time I jumped back on the merry-go-round, it would be better, but it never got better. It was consistently the same garbage going around and around and around. That's a different topic for another day, but that's not the type of second chances I'm referring to. I'm referring to these orders and desires in your heart. And sometimes you need closure, and that's what that second chance looks like. Sometimes those relationships resurface years later. And maybe because you always had that what if question mark around that person or situation, and God gives you that closure instead. It's not a second chance so much, but it's a second chance to communicate, explore, and put a little bow on it. I like to close a loop with a nice little tie, double knot it if you have to. That also is just as beautiful because it gives you the opportunity to let go and move forward without wondering what if. Maybe it was a job opportunity that passed you up in your years prior, and they circle back and go, would you like to work for us again? Or we'd like to pull you back, or that promotion you were wanting, we now have an availability for that or vacancy, and you've already moved on. You've already grown. You've outgrown that opportunity. In fact, you've outgrown it financially, emotionally and mentally, and it doesn't thrill you anymore. That's a good sign that you can close the loop. Put a little bow on that perfect second chance opportunity and let it go. Just let it go. Where else is a second chance showing up in your world? I'm reflecting a lot on career stuff because I'm going through that too. I think just to pause here and talk about that, I think a lot of the time we think we're only whatever we went to school for, or it's too late for me because I don't have the experience, or I'll never get to be an astronaut because I chose to be a surgeon. I'm just throwing some really random career choices out there. Or I already did 10 plus years or 15, 20 years, Carrie, in this industry, and I've narrowed my niche down to what I know so narrow. There's no way I could ever grow and expand and do something different. That, my friends, is self-rejection. That is limiting beliefs. That is closing yourself off from an opportunity. What would it look like if you just cracked your heart open a minute, or your mind too, crack it open, to either going back to school, revisiting a opportunity, doing some self-study. I'm a self-study kind of girl more than a traditional school type of, it depends on what the industry is. Obviously, if you're going to cut somebody open as a surgeon, I would highly recommend medical school. Please don't just watch a YouTube video. But when it comes to self-study and self-learning, I like to go at my pace with the topics I enjoy. So there's so many opportunities to do that, whether it's a certification or a one-off course at a college or something online that you can learn. It's never too late. It's not too late. The only time it's too late, baby girl, baby boy, and anybody listening to this, is when you close your eyes for the last time. That's the only time it's too late, is when you take that last breath. So as long as there's air in your lungs, you've got time. You've got time to experience it. Don't put an expiration date on your dreams. I remember talking to my brother, and I do pick on him often, but it's only with love, that I remember him saying, well, at my age, I would never buy a house because I'm just too late. I missed that opportunity. Who would want a mortgage of 30 years at my age? That's not how it works. Like in my mind, I'm like, but why not? Why did you just expire yourself from something you might want to do? Why not invest in a home? You can always sell it in 10 years, make money on it. You don't have to keep it for the 30-year loan. You can do whatever you want, but you can experience the joy of home ownership if that's something you want to do. Why did you just discount yourself? Self-reject. I asked him in that conversation, whose rule is that? Where did that come from? Is that written somewhere in the Bible? Is that the gospel truth? That I don't get to have this because of my age? Those are limitations we put on ourselves that are not true. Beliefs has the word lie in it, Lie, for a reason. I like to pull that out of that word often. Beliefs sometimes have lies. Look for it. Dig for it. Look and see and investigate. Unravel that belief. Where did it come from? Why do I believe this way? Who told me this? Is this just because? Did I just accept it as truth because it's what we've always done? It was a routine, something we always did in our family. Like really unravel that belief. Give yourself permission to believe something new. Create your own belief. Start over from scratch. I get to have whatever I want. If I'm feeling it in the moment, it's mine. If it's the Lord's desire for my life because He knows what's best for me more than anyone else, I'm not going to stop Him. I'm not going to be a roadblock to what the Lord wants to give me. Not today, not tomorrow. I'm going to trust. God loves it when we do this. That's when He's like, you're going to let me drive? Okay, girl, buckle up. Let's do this. And you're going to be in for a ride, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be like Christmas morning every day. What else is possible? What else is the Lord going to show me today? I always used to think, oh gosh, I didn't do this, or I should have done that, or I never really got involved in this part of church, or why didn't I ever take this talent God gave me and make it into something? And again, there's a part of you that's like, oh, what a waste, Carrie. God gave you some gifts and you didn't use them. This is another one that's going through me right now. But is it really too late? It might not be. I remember my aunt, my mom's younger sister, who has lost two sons. And it's so painful. And I don't know this from experience other than a miscarriage, but to lose your babies must be heart-wrenching. I don't think a mother is ever the same, or a parent. But one of her sons that passed away was around my age. I grew up with him, and he played the guitar. I remember shortly after him passing that she decided for him and his memory's sake that she was going to pick up a guitar and learn to play, I think it was bass. Could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. How cool is that? I want to say this was at least 15 years ago. So she's probably was in her 60s. Forgive me, Auntie, if I'm not quoting this correctly. I want to say she was in her 60s when she decided to teach herself bass guitar and joined a band. I mean, could she? I have some cool family, I just got to say. How cool is that? Joined a band, played in church, all the things, taught herself in her son's memory because that was his thing. I'm sure there's more to it, but I can only speak from the little bit that I have knowledge of. How cool is that she didn't write herself off? Nope, too old. Why would I ever pick up a guitar at this age? That's ridiculous. I didn't teach myself how to snowboard until age 34. I finally got on a snowboard. Of course, I didn't live in I lived in flat area of industrial Detroit for 18 years in the Detroit area of Michigan. Not a lot of opportunity for snowboarding, but when I moved out west, within that year, I was already learning new things, taking advantage of the area around me. I could have said I'm 34, which, I'd kill to be right now, but not really. I like my wisdom that I've acquired over the years. But to just go, oh, it's too late for me. This is stupid. I should have learned this when I was a little kid. Your body's more resilient then, and you just you catch on quicker. That's a dumb lie. Learn. Don't go learn it right now. Whatever it is that you think is just too late for you. You're too old for it. You're not skilled enough. I want you to give yourself permission to go do it now. Permission to let yourself have that second chance. Because it's honestly never too late for a do-over. And you may be in a position like me where you're thinking, I'm divorced, or I've had failed relationships. I'm just supposed to be alone. Maybe I'm just meant to be there. I didn't ever get married or remarried, or I failed once before, Lord. I've got a divorce in my background. Maybe I'm just not supposed to be married. Maybe I suck at that. Maybe that's my weakness or something I'm just not good at. And it's just not for me. Like it's some sport or something that requires a skill. That's a limiting belief. I truly believe, and I've told myself these dumb stories, so that's why I can speak to them so well. I've had those dumb thoughts. Maybe I'm just not the marrying type. Right, Carrie. That's a big lie. I was married for 12 years. I was with one man for 19. I liked being married. I liked the act of marriage. I just didn't enjoy it with the person I was with. We never had that emotional bond that I needed so badly. I highly recommend that being a big piece to the structure of any marriage for it to work. So I could tell myself that lie and just remain single forever. Or I could open my heart up and say, if it's the Lord's will, if that's really where he wants to lead me, I'm not going to stop him. I'm going to open my heart. I'm going to be open to a relationship, a deep emotional connection with somebody, if it's who the Lord lays in front of me. And you'll know if it's a God thing, because it's like parting the Red Sea. When the Lord lays something before me, he makes all the background noise go away. Like I said, it's like that division of the Red Sea just parts the way of all the chaos. When I'm supposed to be with a certain man and learn whatever I need to, it's funny how all others just kind of start to fall away and mute to background gray. And I get really crystal clear on the person I'm supposed to get to know in this moment or time for whatever reason the Lord has. Same with any career opportunity or client that comes forward. I might be exploring new opportunities. And once he hones in on what I'm supposed to do next, the chaos goes away. He mutes out that background noise so that you have clarity. Your intuition will help you get this clarity. And you'll know this is where I'm supposed to go. This is the next step. This is the Lord's leading, and I'm going to allow it and be submissive to it 100%. So I want to just kind of wrap up where that goes. One more quick another synopsis or example is I filed bankruptcy in 2010. There's a part of me that thought, I just must not be good with money. Well, that's not true. I made tons of money with my ex-husband. We had rental properties. We were flipping houses. We owned a home. We both had our careers, and that was just our side gig. We both had our careers. We were both very driven financially and very big career junkies. We were married 8 years before my daughter was welcomed into this world. So that's a lie. Yes, I had one bad stint. It was called the crash of 2008, combined with a divorce, combined with a job market that didn't exist all at once, and all of our homes being underwater, along with that 10 acres of property. And could that have been a form of self-sabotage? Maybe. But I look at it now, looking back, as it was God giving me a do-over, and he literally wiped the slate clean. Like all the homes, all the hard work, literally starting back to zero again, which is hard. Oh, such a gut-wrenching experience. But I knew on the other side of it, I would have a better relationship with myself, who I am. I would learn and grow in a different way I never had given myself that opportunity to do so before. So you could think, and there was this little stint of time, well, I filed bankruptcy, so I just must be bad with money, and I didn't care about building my credit back up again. And it felt like I would never get there. Like I already have this black mark on my financial history. Why bother? It's kind of like I'm already 20 pounds overweight. I might as well eat ice cream, or I'll skip the gym or whatever. I'm already overweight. What's one more box of chocolates? It's kind of feeling like I'm already sabotaged. I'll just make it worse feeling. So watch yourself in those moments of self-sabotage when God gives you a second chance. As I'm building my credit back up, there's times that it's going up or down or whatever, and I'm caring more. I find that I'm like, no. I am good at this. I can do this. I can do this. Damn it. I can do this. I can turn this around, or I can shift this, score to something better. Just watch yourself in these moments. Be aware. Why am I self-sabotaging? Why am I self-rejecting? It's not too late for me. I can still have good credit. I'm not a write-off. Why do we write ourselves off? It's just silly. Same with, a love as well. I still get to experience the love of my life, no matter what that looks like. It's not too late for me. It's not too late for me to scream like a crazy person on the sidelines of some coaching event at a school just because I didn't get to do that with my daughter, or when my nieces and nephews were smaller, or whatever. I get to have it anyway. It looks different. It's later in life, but I get to still have that same experience because God cares about your heart and the desires of your heart. And the wish list, those little wishes we make, sometimes not in writing, but just in our hearts and our minds when we're sleeping, trying to curl up and sleep, and the thoughts that go through our mind, He's taking inventory. Just know He's capturing them one by one, and He's writing them down. And one day they'll show up, and you'll find yourself crying at a powerlifting meet for your niece, and you'll wonder, what's going on? What's showing up for me right now? And it's just a little God nudge saying, it's not too late. It's never too late for a do-over, because I am the God of second chances. I hope this was helpful with whatever you're going through in your life, hoping to give you hope and hugs. Share this with a friend. Share this with anyone that you just feel led in your heart to pass this along to. The more people we can reach together, the more people we can help. Big hugs, big love. I'll see you on the next episode.
Hi there, friend. If you enjoyed this episode, do me a favor and double check that you're subscribed or following. And if you've got a quick 30 seconds, it would mean the world to me if you could leave me a 5-star review and share what you specifically liked about this episode.